Hey, Honors Bulls! This week on the Honor Roll podcast, we'll be talking to Dr. Lydia Wassink and her former student, Isabel Delgado Frontera. Dr. Wassink is an assistant professor of instruction at USF who teaches courses on ecology, marine biology, and evolution. Today, we are talking to Dr. Wassink about the honors study away trip that she leads called Fossil Hunters, which takes students to Cincinnati to study evolution and fossils. All that and more coming up next. Hey, Honors Bulls! Welcome to the Honor Roll podcast, the flagship podcast of the Judy Genshaft Honors College Podcast Network. I am your host, Caroline Merriman, a fourth-year student studying English and biology at the University of South Florida and a member of the Honors College. Today, we have another special episode recorded from the Sarasota Manatee campus, and for the first time, one of our guests is recording remotely. As always, we like to start the podcast off with one big question. So my question this week is, what animal did you want as a pet when you were younger? Personally, I always loved frogs and lizards, so when it came time for me to get my first pet, I wanted toads. But unfortunately, my mom wouldn't let me get any because she was scared of the crickets you had to feed them. So I ended up getting a hamster. Well, on the Fossil Hunters Honors Study Away program, students aren't studying live animals. They're studying creatures of the past by digging for fossils. So today I will be joined by Assistant Professor Dr. Lydia Wassink and her former student Isabel Delgado Frontera to talk all about trip details and highlights from the program. So stay tuned.
Explore the world of research with the University of South Florida Undergraduate Research Portal. This centralized online portal paves the way to exciting research opportunities filled with discovery and personal growth. It will connect you with the right research lab, professors, and mentor relationships at USF. The perfect research opportunity is just one click away. Search USF Research Portal or visit the Judy Genshaft Honors College website to learn more.
Hey Bulls, today I am here with Assistant Professor of Instruction, Dr. Lydia Wassink, and one of her former students, Isabel Delgado Frontera. Dr. Wassink specializes in integrative biology, ecology, and evolution, and her research delves into wildlife behavior through the scope of ecology and evolution. Dr. Wassink currently teaches a variety of biology courses at USF and leads the Honors Study Away program called Fossil Hunters, which takes students to Cincinnati to learn about the biology of fossils and evolution. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Would each of you like to introduce yourself and maybe talk a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. So my background, like you mentioned, is mostly in behavioral ecology of wildlife, which is obviously dealing with alive animals. But I also have this passion for collecting Ordovician fossils in the Cincinnati area, which is the best site in the world to collect these fossils. And I just think it's a really cool opportunity to learn about evolution and kind of see it in a very tangible way. Mostly I teach at the Sarasota campus, and I teach a lot of marine-themed courses, which has been really, really exciting for me because I formerly before this taught in Michigan, which is a little bit light on marine environment. So, so I love teaching here.
Hi, thank you for that lovely intro, Dr. Wassink. My name is Isabel. I am a third-year undergraduate student at the USF Tampa campus. I'm majoring in health sciences with a minor in deaf studies, and I'm glad to be here.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys for joining me today. So, Dr. Wassink, since you've taught at other universities before, what is it like to teach USF students all about biology, ecology, and conservation?
It's been an amazing and rewarding experience. I think USF students have been some of my favorite students. I guess I'd probably say that of all the students I met, but USF students are really great, and especially the honors group that we had with Fossil Hunters. I thought that was an amazing group. They're really fascinated in the biology that's like right in our backyards here, because we live in such a great state to do biology. There's so much interesting stuff happening here with the ocean, with biological invasions, and I think people grow up seeing that, and that gives them a unique passion.
Well, in regards to the Fossil Hunters program, I'm sure a lot of students want to hear more about the trip, so could you give us an overview of the program?
Yeah, definitely. So it's a Maymester program. It's very condensed. We spend 1 week in the field. So we have a few online classes, which allows students from different campuses to get involved. Then we all get in a van and drive 15 hours to the hotel that we stay at near Cincinnati. Every day we're in the field and we just get as many hours out there as possible. So we spend every day driving around to different road cuts, which are places where they've excavated a path through a hillside to put a highway in. So we just find these highway locations that are good for fossils, and we spend the whole day kind of climbing those slopes and seeing what we can find. And then there's some activities in the evening that help us sort of explore the biological principles. Students spend time cleaning and varnishing the fossils so that we can better identify them. And then for this program, we also made, Isabel could probably tell you more about the project part, but it's a very hands-on course. So it emphasizes this large project that students work in teams to do. They learn some GIS skills to make an interactive map of the different fossils that they found, and then made a museum exhibit communicating something about evolution or biology using their fossils and their interactive map.
Isabel, could you tell us a little bit of what it was like to do all those projects and get to work in groups, collaborating on those deliverables?
So it was a very interesting process. We were teamed up into about groups of 3 or 2 people, and during our class meetings, we had some virtual meetings before that trip to Cincinnati. We would get into those breakout rooms and discuss kind of the topic we really wanted to discuss and share it with more so like common folk who don't really understand what the Ordovician period is. Not many people know about it. I didn't know about it until I took this course. So we talked about how the Ordovician period started, what went on during that period, what organisms we saw during that period. And then during the field, we kind of worked to develop more on that topic. We collected our fossil samples out on the field just to get a look into like how often we see these species in a certain area, how often we find them, or like the different types of brachiopods, the different types of just different types of species. And then we did work on that project back at home during virtual meetings. Oftentimes we were not able to meet in person with our teammates, but we did a good job of just brainstorming ideas from home.
That's really cool. I think it's really interesting that you guys actually got to like get that hands-on experience, especially for students who might be currently taking biology courses or ecology courses, and to actually apply like the things you learned in like your biology classes, I think is really interesting to get that experiential learning. Could you guys go a little bit more into kind of like a day in the life of a student like on the trip, and kind of like what that experience feels like?
Yeah, sure. So we started off the day in Cincinnati, waking up probably like 7 a.m. We got ready, we went down, ate some breakfast, and during that time, we discussed where we're going. Sometimes Dr. Wassink asked us our preferences, where we wanted to go. And there were definitely road cuts where there was more abundance of certain fossils that we all wanted to go to. So we kind of voted. We went to the site, we stayed there for maybe 5 hours searching. We grabbed some lunch, and then we came back on the site. We did some more digging. And then by that time, we were all kind of pooped out. We went back to the hotel, had probably a meal, and then we reconvened in the evening in the hotel lobby. And then we did more project work. We discussed our findings. We had some fun times. We shared all of our experiences and all of our fossils with other classmates that we didn't see throughout the digging because we're all scattered in different areas. So that was pretty much the day.
That's really cool. So you guys got to keep all of your fossils from the trip that you actually had collected?
Yeah, we did. It's
That's
very
so
cool. I actually have a box right next to me. It's about like I don't know, 10, 15 pounds. It's pretty heavy.
Wow.
I kept a lot of my fossils.
That is so cool. So in regards to kind of like the actual like fossil collection and like the digging, do students learn those skills like in the course, like during the Maymester before they go on the trip actually?
No, they kind of learn on site.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's just it's not very difficult to find fossils because they're such rich fossil sites. So we go and just spread out and see what we can find. I think it takes a little bit of practice to be good at climbing the slopes, which Isabel can probably attest to. It can be physically challenging, and we're out there in all kinds of weather and conditions and everything. But students have a really fun time with it, and it's very fun to like climb up and down these ledges and stuff, and you can get really high and see like the beautiful Kentucky, just like rolling hills, green landscape. It's just gorgeous. So I think within a day everyone is a pretty good fossil hunter at that point. And then it's just seeing what we can find and deciding, like Isabel said, you can get boxes and boxes of fossils to take home if you want to. So it's more of a matter of deciding which ones to leave behind.
How many you can fit in your bag.
Yes, exactly. How many can we stuff into the van?
I'm Charles Adams. I'm the Judy Genshaft Endowed Honors Dean at the Judy Genshaft Honors College at USF. Being the Dean of the Honors College to me means providing our amazing students with the opportunities that they deserve. These are extremely gifted young people, and they are going to do wonderful things in the world. And my job is to provide them with the opportunities and the knowledge about those opportunities that they need to take full advantage of them.
So after kind of designing and leading this program, how do you hope the course and the trip overall impacts your students?
Oh, that's a great question. I hope that they feel really confident being field researchers. I think you can take a lot of great classes during college, but if you're sitting in the classroom the whole time, that kind of limits the type of biology that you get comfortable doing. So just being outside, being like, yeah, I survived that 10-hour day in the rain and the mud and got a few, scrapes and everything, but I had a great time and I got something awesome out of it. I think that is such a valuable experience.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I hope they walk away with is an understanding of how we can experimentally study evolution, even though it happened, like in this case, we're looking at organisms 420 million years ago, but we can still apply science to understanding those evolutionary processes. And it's an important foundation of biology, and it's something we can work on communicating to other people who might not have as much of a grasp of what evolution is, why it's important, how it works. So that's a major focus of the class's evolutionary principles. And the fossils are just a great tangible evidence of that.
I'm sure a lot of students are really grateful that they have an opportunity to like actually go and do hands-on field work before being like, I'm going to commit to this field of study. So I'm sure it's really cool to actually get to do something that's hands-on outside of just like learning something for a test. Isabel, could you maybe speak a little bit to like how the experience impacted you and what you took away from the program?
Yeah, sure. So this was my first ever time dealing with, fossils and anything fieldwork related. I've never done fieldwork. So I was just kind of jumping in. But it was an incredible experience. I truly enjoyed, getting out there and doing something that really stuck with me more than any lecture could ever do. So, getting out there and actually like having a project you can focus on what you collected, on what you did, really just set it in the memories forever. Like you'll never forget this experience. You'll never have something like this. And it's very neat to talk about. A lot of people ask me what I did this summer, and I can tell them about this, and I can tell them about all the fossils I found and specific, species and all the different types of things that I learned there.
That's so cool. I did want to ask you, what inspired you to sign up for the program?
So honestly, I did need a summer course. So I was just looking around. I didn't know if I wanted an honors course or just a general education course. And I was looking on the honors website and I saw this class, Fossil Hunters, and that really piqued my interest. I was like,
Yeah.
this sounds really cool. Like I've learned about some fossils in, intro to biology, but nothing like this. And then I saw the description and we get to go out to do field work. And I thought that was amazing. I have a jar on my bookshelf actually, and it's a collection of these rocks that I find that are super cool. They're nothing special. They're literally just rocks I pick up off the ground or shells. And it's something that I've always done since I was little. And I thought that this could be a great way to kind of expand that and also learn more about the actual things I'm picking up instead of just storing them away in my room.
Yeah. That's really cool that you found kind of a course that fit exactly like your interests and like what kind of you were looking for, even though it was just kind of a situation of like, oh, I need a summer class, but you kind of ended up getting this whole experience out of it.
Yeah, and I don't even plan to go into this kind of field work. I am more into medicine, but it was still a very fun experience, and I'm glad that I was able to kind of go into something different than what I'm used to.
Yeah, you guys have talked a lot about like how much fun you had on the trip. Do you have a favorite like memory or a trip highlight from your time in Cincinnati?
Do you want to go first, Dr. Wassink?
Oh boy. Let's see. Okay, I don't know if this is a good example to bring up, but there was a day we got the van. I got the van stuck in the mud. It had rained, and we pull over onto the shoulder of the highway to be out of the way of traffic. And a little bit stressful, but it was such a good example of like, yeah, guys, this is how fieldwork goes. This is what happens. And so everyone, all the students very helpfully started grabbing big fossil slabs, which usually we don't take with us because they're too large, and wedging them under the wheels of the van so we could try. Ultimately, someone did have to tow us out. But so on the one hand, I wasn't having fun at the time with that experience, but I loved seeing how the whole team just worked as a team so well and just very cheerfully tried to, problem solve and figure out what to do next. And everyone was, very chill about it. And then we went to a better site after that and had better luck. Exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly the kind of thing that like I remember from my field work for grad school and stuff where like something goes wrong, the whole team has to pitch in and be like, oh no, what are we going to do now? But that's the kind of thing you remember. That's what makes it an adventure. And I think like having those, like college is a great time to have adventures. So those are fun experiences in hindsight.
That's a good one. I totally did not think about mentioning the car being stuck. I really enjoyed, my most memorable part was just actually being on the field, and this was one of the road cuts in Indiana along a state road, and we were all like, oh my gosh, I found this. And then you would have people come over from like a few feet away or maybe like 20 feet away, like, oh, let me see what you found, this is so cool. And you would just chat while you're digging, and not really digging, but finding fossils. And it was just really fun to share all those experiences. And during trivia nights, it was really fun to hear people's answers. And sometimes we would forget the names of certain species. And it was just really funny to see what we did.
It's really cool when someone's like as excited about something so small as you are, and you get to kind of like fangirl over a fossil with someone else.
Some of us, we were proud of each other of finding these really cool fossils, but I'm pretty sure some of us were jealous of each other. I know I was jealous of my classmates. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. I wish I found that. So.
If you could describe in any way, how do you think this trip could like benefit students the most?
I think one of the best benefits was just meeting so many different people. And getting close to all of them, because it's such a small group. I mean, 8 people, 7 people. You really got to know everyone, especially on that 15-hour drive to Cincinnati. It was hard. You are in a cramped space, can't really move a lot. But you get to talk to people and learn about, their majors, what they plan on doing. We had one student who was going to be a science teacher. And we had another student who was studying physics. We had another student, including myself, we're looking into medicine to be doctors. There was another student who has a double major in Spanish, which is really neat. We were just all different sorts of majors and interests and backgrounds. So it was good to meet different people.
I think that's one of the coolest thing about like all of our honors programs and like experiences that like you get to kind of commune around like one field, but with students that have completely different backgrounds, and it kind of helps you see something in a different light. And you kind of get that group camaraderie when the trips, have more people on them. I think that's really cool.
I know. We definitely missed each other on the last day. We were like, oh my gosh, this is so sad. Like, we'll probably never really see each other that often because we're from all different campuses. We have USF Tampa students, we have USF Sarasota, and then we had USF St. Petersburg. So we were all over. But it was great. It was really nice. I met, hopefully some long-term friends that I can, keep in contact with, and I can network with them and just hear about, their life.
It's cool to share that experience with someone else. Is there anything from the trip that like is a takeaway that you think you'll carry with you like through the rest of your like academic life or like your career in the future?
I guess these fossils. I have so many. I'm planning on giving some to my friends. I just haven't been able to see them recently. But I have a bunch of them, and I love looking at them. I want to put them on my wall if I can find a frame that can hold these fossils. But in all seriousness, I really do love the connections that I made with people and the time that I had doing field work. It's something that I probably will never do again just because I have a different field of work that I want to go into, but I appreciate the ability and the opportunity that I had to do this.
Well, to close out today, I wanted to ask each of you guys, what advice would you give to students who are kind of looking to find a study abroad trip and maybe looking for experience like similar to field work?
Yeah, I would say do something you maybe didn't see yourself doing. Even if you're not sure how it's gonna go, it's really, really good to put yourself out of your comfort zone, because every time you do that, it gets a little bit easier and you're gonna end up gaining the most from those experiences that are just really different from what you've experienced before. So be bold and don't hesitate to dive into something new.
So I completely agree with Dr. Wassink. I highly believe that you should just go for it. Even if it's not in your field or what you plan on doing for your career, it's a great experience. A lot of us on the trip, there were about 7 or 8 of us, we weren't necessarily going into field work for fossils or field work for anything with marine biology, but we all kind of just enjoyed the idea of looking for very cool rocks. And it was an experience of a lifetime. I do believe that it's fun to get out there, and that's how you really learn, by using your hands and actually seeing what they're teaching you instead of just reading off a textbook. So just do it.
All right, well, that is all the time we have today. Thank you two so much for joining me. It was so great to hear about your trip, and I'm sure a lot of students are really excited to run and go sign up for it as soon as possible.
Yay, thank you so much. It was great to be here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for joining me back in the studio. It was so great to hear all about Isabel's personal experience from attending the Fossil Hunters program and what she got to take away from that, but also all of the effort and the intention that Dr. Wassink puts into building that program for our students. So to stay updated on all of our trip details and application deadlines, don't forget to check the Honor Roll newsletter and our website at usf.edu/honors for all upcoming events, updates, and news. All right, that will do it for this week's episode. Today's podcast was recorded at the University of South Florida's Sarasota Manatee campus. Production assistance is provided by honors student Sandra Napolitano. Thank you all so much for listening, and please do not forget to rate and review our podcast. We greatly appreciate your feedback. Please join us next week where we hear more honors stories and talk to more members of the Judy Genshaft Honors College. Until next time, go Bulls!